Hello friends, today I'm going to be looking at the classic Nicky Romero Kickstart plugin. This is one that I've seen for years and years, and I've always thought it was kind of gimmicky, because what it's doing is sidechain compression, and that's something that you can do by yourself in any DAW. But over the years, it's been showing up again and again. I still see people using this to this day, people that I respect. So I wanted to try it out for myself and see what the big deal is about this. Yeah, so $15, and I'm going to see if this is worth all the hype. The most common way I've seen this used is in the sync mode. So if I have this set for quarter notes, every quarter note the volume is going to go through this shape, which can be changed and moved around. So the main advantage I've seen is that if you have anything that is a house track, or anything with a 4 on the floor kick, you can just set this up right away, no need to do any actual side chaining, it's just going to do it on every quarter note, which is what you want. Then here you have a dry wet knob. Since this is something I can do myself in Ableton, I'm going to do a comparison of what's better using the sidechain compression with the stock plugin in Ableton or using the Kickstart plugin. Alright, then I'm going to try just the default setting on the Kickstart plugin. So it doesn't need to be sidechain, it's just going to do it on every quarter note, which is what we want. The Kickstarter sounds a lot cleaner to me in the low end. There's really a lot of space for that kick to punch through, and it comes in just about right where I want it to. So without having to mess with it much, I get a pretty good side chaining effect. So what I did here is I took two different instances of the side chaining of the bass, just so we can see them side by side as audio files. Even just looking at the WAV file, you can see that the Nicky Romero really gets rid of a lot more of that volume right when the kick is hitting. And the Ableton stock one is not nearly as effective as that. I could hear the difference too, but just looking at the waveforms, it's even more obvious. Alright, that works well. And then another option you have with the Kickstart is if you don't want to just set it on a subdivision, you can actually have it triggered by a one-shot sample, and you can set that here. The way you set up the sidechain is not actually in the plugin, you have to route it outside with your DAW. So for instance, I just have this blank MIDI clip that's going to be triggering the sidechain. And what you have to do is just route it to the channel it's on and then specifically route it to Kickstart. Which is a little strange, kind of a weird way to do that, I think. But it gets the job done. Once you figure out how to do that, it's not a big problem to set it up that way. Yeah, one complaint I'll have to say is that it works well sidechaining with a MIDI clip with no instrument on it. But when I've added an instrument, for whatever reason, I no longer have the option to route it to where my Kickstart is. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I guess it's not a terrible thing. The best solution would be to copy your kick MIDI and put it in a separate track just for the sidechaining, which is a little bit of a hassle, but it'll still get the job done. I've also tried it with the drum rack, and there's no way to just sidechain directly from there. You gotta have to put it on a new MIDI clip and just have it like this. And again, you wouldn't be able to sidechain using an audio clip, so if you had a loop with a certain type of swing, it would be difficult to replicate that. Probably the best way would be to have that copied onto a MIDI clip using Ableton's algorithm, and then take out everything but the kick, and then use that kick as a MIDI sidechain. And they have one more mode on the Kickstart, which is retrigger. So what's going to happen with retrigger is it's going to follow this subdivision, just like it is in the sync mode. But whenever there is a MIDI note, it'll do an additional sidechain. What's cool about these curves is some of them have the opposite effect, where on the quarter note it would be open, and then directly afterwards it would be down. So in this way it's almost like a gate with the kick now. Which you wouldn't do with the bass, but you could do that with some other sounds for some interesting gated effects. Another cool way to do this is with white noise, using some of these more interesting filters. You can almost make a brush. Yeah, so using this just a little bit, I really see the value. I think the best use is if you're making any 4 on the floor dance music. This is just a really clean, quick sidechain. But even for different functions, I think there's a lot you can do with this. And for 15 bucks, it's definitely worth the money. Alright, thank you for making it to the end, and let me know what plugin or VST I should talk about next.